Right, what's up, chat? We're back with this. Okay, so we're back on the Apollo Justice grind because, well, I don't know. Honestly, my opinion on Apollo Justice Ace Attorney is it couldn't have released at a worse point, right? Trials and Tribulations, final case, best in history. And now we have this final case, which is so far it's okay, but it's nowhere near Turnabout Goodbyes, Farewell My Turnabout, Bridge to the Turnabout level so far. But it still has plenty of time. Also, I really want to get the Dual Destinies instead of this, because great characters, great music, great mechanics, awful cases to put them into. Turnabout Trump was good. Turnabout Corner was boring. Serenade seems to be really bad, although I won't know till I play it when I inevitably come over and do the platinum for Apollo Justice Ace Attorney. So does that. Anyway, I'm looking through the trophies here. Okay, Turnabout Corner, Turnabout Serenade, Turnabout Succession, Turnabout Countdown, The Monstrous Turnabout, Turnabout Academy, The Cosmic Turnabout, Turnabout for Tomorrow, Turnabout Reclaimed, Foreign Turnabout, Magical Turnabout, Writer Turnabout, Turnabout Storyteller, Turnabout Revolution, Turnabout Time Traveler, Forensics Expert, Trucy's Wars, which I've already done, but whatever. Anyway, we find out that Trucy's allowance is £5 a month, which is I get £5 a week. Anyway, so last time we were cross-examining Spark Brushel, which is oh god. One thing I noticed when I watched someone else play Apollo Justice, he blinks with his lower eyelids going up. That is not normal. And we used the perceive mechanic to find out what he was hiding, and he was fine. Well, he was hiding fucking disgusting sweaty armpits. He just starts sweating as soon as he mentions Drew Misham's talent. Anyway,
please continue with your testimony. Tell us about the scent of a story.
Hey, I'm the one asking questions here, usually. I forgot the voice, I think. We'll just go with this one. Actually, it took a bit of work to get a thumbs up on the interview. A reporter leverages story, gets his interview. End quote. The story concerned a certain case from 7 years ago. That red envelope probably had something to do with it. Say what you will, but Drew's talent was without compare. Oh, this was...
So you threatened to go to press with this story? That's how you got your interview? Blackmail?
Well, yes. I mean, no. It wasn't exactly black. I mean, I'm not...
Something wrong, Mr. Brushel?
Look, this is my story. My tidbit journalist info is his livelihood. End quote.
I see.
While you have me chatting away in here, what's going on out there? What if some Wally Wordsworth or Sally Scooper gets wind of my story? They could be going to press while I'm going to waste.
Court feels your pain, Mr. Brushel. Mr. Justice, let's pick up the pace.
Give me a second. Let's see. How should I voice him? I keep forgetting. I really need to stop doing tidbits here and there of his to and start just playing out massive chunks like I used to. But when it's cases like these, I just stop playing for long enough to the point where I just forget. A certain case 7 years ago. Wait, 7 years ago? Can I perceive?
Gotcha!
Fucking disgusting. Sweat much, Mr. Brush? Yeah, well, a man can't help his glands, you know. It's more than that. When Mr. Misham's talent was mentioned, you suddenly began to sweat buckets. You're hiding something about his talent. What? That's ridiculous. It just so happens I have evidence showing the talent mentioned in the letter. This painting was found in Mr. Misham's studio. There are two problems with this painting. The first is, it wasn't painted by Mr. Misham. The second is that there was another painting in the studio, which looked exactly like this one, except it was only half done. Then, we have the letter discussing a payment of $100,000, which suggests a certain business operation. The business of making forgeries. There you go. That is all, Your Honor. Everyone, please, everyone. Can we keep this private, please? This is my story, my scoop.
Forgery? That's a serious crime.
True Misham is known as an artist these days, but there were rumors he dabbled in another kind of art until a few years back.
Another art meaning forgery?
True Misham was talented, alright, talented in making precise, detailed fakes. The fact that certain criminal elements were quick to discover. Criminal elements? What you kept seriously talking about? Exactly, I'm talking about forging evidence. Montford must have had her best buddy, and his name was probably True Misham. The rumor started circulating 7 years ago.
7 years ago? So are we to understand that this is the letter? This payment of $100,000 was for...
Exactly. Forged evidence, and that's tidy profit. End quote.
Order! Shut the fuck up! Well, it's like our victim was living a double life.
Aha, this is my chance. Yeah. So the victim had ties to the criminal underworld, right? He could have had plenty of enemies we know nothing about. This is my first time hearing about this criminal world. We certainly found no criminal connections when we conducted our investigation. But how do you explain all this money? You have to admit there's a possibility of some illegal activity here. There's no proof tying this letter to our case. Our case was and remains simple from the beginning. Only the defendant could have poisoned that magnet. And you, of course. Hey, the only thing I poison is my pet when I'm writing reviews.
Mr. Brushel, your testimony to this point has been quite unreliable. It doesn't speak well of your reporting acumen.
What are you talking about? My journalism is rock solid. Journalism so solid you can find it out. End quote.
In any case, let's hear a summarized recap of your testimony. If we can ascertain the situation in that studio from the recap, the trial is over.
Apollo, what's he talking about? The cross-examination showed Mr. Brushel didn't have reason or means to poison him. As long as there's no other suspects, and the killer had to be Vera, that's why. This next testimony is our last chance.
Mr. Brushel, your testimony, please.
The only other person in the studio that night was the defendant. It was Vera who poured the coffee. She has admitted as much herself. Oh, what a nice, caring thing. Oh, his mug is glowing. Screenshot. The only thing that touched Drew's lips during that interview was that mug. I had nothing left that studio after he died. Nothing! Clearly, the one who could have poisoned him was his daughter. A nice testimony. Clear. Is that second? Second, and without room for doubt. Aw, shucks, you really think so?
I believe this clarifies the situation that night. Very well, Mr. Justice. You may begin your final cross-examination.
Right. Still have one trump card left to play, and I won't let this trial end until I use it. Yay! But that doesn't prove Vera poisoned it. How many times have we heard that one here for, huh? The poison reached its victim via that coffee mug. And from where did that coffee come from, Not to be a dead horse again and again, but perhaps you could fill us in? You need a horse beat, I'm your man. Okay. And you witnessed her pouring that coffee? Of course I didn't witness it when she came in with that tray. The coffee was already poured and let us not forget that the defendant has admitted to pouring the coffee herself. I heard her statement. I poured, I served, and I killed. That last part was just a little joke. I don't think I'm gonna get anywhere with this coffee more. I need to find another weak spot in the case. Good fucking golly, I'm tired. You're sure about that? Well, to be really precise, I was busy gobbling mint candies the whole time. So I've heard.
Objection!
One of those candies might have been poisoned. Yet at the time of the autopsy, no fresh fragrance of mint filled the room, and no mint residue was found. It was a long shot anyway. Don't tell me you're still trying to prove this. You think the victim ate, drank, or otherwise ingested something other than coffee?
Well, Mr. Justice, if you have some sort of proof...
The possibility is there. I can feel it. Just maybe not prove it. Not yet. The possibility isn't going to cut it. Not now. Mr. Mission suggested that I poisoned via a route other than that coffee. It can't be proven. I do believe our little forehead is growing up. Pity, we like the rash use the forehead best. Not one thing, you're sure? Yep, sure can be. Well, with one exception.
What exception? What?
Journalist Spike Brushel does interview. Leave studio. End quote. Come on, it's a joke. Get it? Not right, I know. What's joke? Did something leave the studio that night? Why does that sound familiar? Where have I heard something like that before?
Now that we've proven our business is a comedian of sorts, I'd like to turn on defensive before turning to the testimony. Do you have any idea of what, if anything, might have left the studio that night?
I think one thing might very well have to do that night, actually. Certain something that has vanished from the crime scene.
By which you mean something other than a witness?
Of course. Don't tell me. Mirror mission? Believe me, any comic relief I may provide is entirely unintentional.
Then let's see what you've got for us, Mr. Justice.
Well, this thing wasn't at the scene of the crime, so I can't show it to you. But I do have evidence that shows it could have been taken from the crime scene. I find prosecutor Gavin more amusing than this guy, really. That was comic relief. Why do I not feel amused?
We want evidence, not entertainment, Mr. Justice.
There goes my career in stand-up. Well, this thing wasn't at the crime scene, so I can't show it to you. But I do have evidence that shows it, how it could have been taken from the scene. What could have been taken from the scene? This is the only link between that studio and the outside world.
It's letterbox?
What did Mr. Brushel just tell us? When he entered the studio on the night of the murder, the victim had just finished writing a letter. Yeah, I said that, and yeah, it was true. Furthermore, he went on to tell us that he put the letter in the yellow envelope and put it in the letterbox.
Oh.
But that very same letterbox was empty, in other words. That night, the yellow envelope disappeared. Ah, yes, intriguing. So an envelope has disappeared from the scene of the crime. Of course, this changes nothing. Huh?
He has a point, Mr. Justice. What we're trying to figure out here is how the poison got into Mr. Mitchum. Is it really important that this envelope, the witness as he saw it, disappeared?
Well, if it did disappear, then something did leave the studio that night. That seems very important to me.
Very well then, the witness will add this to his testimony.
You've got it. I still think this fails to change anything, her forehead. I wouldn't be so sure. A letter disappeared from the crime scene that night. This is exactly the opening I've been looking for. Nope, that goes what I was going for. Damn, I'm really struggling here. Nothing could be more serious than an envelope disappearing from that studio, and you were hiding that fact from us. Yes, well, actually, I don't argue the possibility that the letter disappeared from that studio, but her forehead. Isn't there a much more serious question before us? Right, how did Mr. Mission... Oh, Mr. Mission was poisoned, I know. But Mr. Brush's testimony has changed, which means the facts of this case have too. And what he's told us means something entirely different now, I'm starting to think. Let's keep thinking, Apollo. You say clearly as though it were obvious. But this claim the defendant poisoned the victim is merely conjecture. Ah, yes, well, you see, in my business, it's all about making the most ridiculous things sound right. A bad habit, I know. Yes, well, actually, I guess this is more a case of ridiculous that sounds wrong and good.
The court is forced to agree with you. Please refrain from wild conjecture.
Understood loud and clear. If only I could believe that. What do you think, Apollo? Everything he's saying seems so... not lying. Well, that's kind of what you want from a testimony, really. I need to keep my own what matters. How and why was Drew Mission killed? If you ever pour the coffee, that's not going to change. But if that coffee didn't kill him, I need to find what did and prove it.
Objection!
Nope.
Objection!
Damn it. Hacking hack. I'm missing something here. Fuck.
Objection!
Hacking Dawn. Um, I'm asking my brain, but my brain's not answering. Come on, don't make me look up a guide for this cunt.
Objection!
Fucking hell, I'm gonna have to look at the guide. Where's my phone? Hacking, damn it, man. And then the second I look at it, I'm gonna be like, oh wow, that was so obvious, how didn't I think of that? Time succession. Will this be trial form or trial ladder? Press the third statement so that I can prove it. Present the tiny frame.
Hold it!
Damn it. You sure about that? Well, to be really precise, I was busy gathering red candies the whole time. One of those candies might have been poisoned. Yeah, it's time your top, you know, for sure. I've already read all this stuff out, so I don't really need to do it anymore. Proof is possible. There's nothing. You do understand what we need, yeah? Proof, her forehead, not possibilities. Of course, and Prosecutor Gavin, I hope you understand. I'm ready to give you that proof. What did you say? I have proof of the disappearing envelope. I sound like a letter I did.
Which was picked up by the mailman, I presume.
Of course, which means that envelope had a stamp on it.
A stamp? Ah.
As we all know, stamps come with dry glue on the back. In order to use the glue, you have to wet it by licking the stamp. No one worth talking to actually licks stamps in this day and age. Even if you wanted to talk to him, you couldn't. He's dead after all. Okay, so he licked the stamp. But wait, how does that explain the atropine on the rim of the coffee mug? If he licked the back of a poison stamp, the poison would get on his tongue, yes? What would then happen if he put the coffee mug to his mouth, huh? Those traces on the mug weren't the killer's doing, it was the other way around.
What?
The coffee mug didn't poison Mr. Mission. Mr. Mission poisoned the coffee mug himself.
Oh, but does it?
Recall, if you would. Atrocanine is a slow-acting poison, yes? The poison entered his body when he put the stamp on that envelope. But his time wasn't up until the very moment he touched his lips to that cup of joe. Joe. Joe.
You have something to add, Mr. Russell?
Uh-oh, his nose is picking up another scent. And I believe I mentioned earlier. Well, that's the thing. See, after he put the letter in the envelope, Mr. Mission sat there searching his desk drawer for something. He has a stamp, a so-called postage stamp, end quote. But I don't seem to remember him ever finding one.
Maybe he just run out?
Incidentally, we searched that desk drawer at the scene of the crime. There were no stamps, not a single one.
That does pose a problem. How will you prove that the stamp is coated with poison?
Actually, I'm glad no other stamps were found. It makes proving the stamp he uses poison possible. Good show, good show. You can't even prove there was a stamp at the scene of the crime in the first place.
Well, let's hear what the defense has to say anyway. Where's your evidence that proves the existence of the poison stamp? Well, that certainly is a cute little frame, and by little, I mean really little.
It was on the victim's desk, Your Honor. Quite empty, as you can see for yourself. I noticed that too during my inspection. So, apparently you weren't as observant as you should have been. You see, when you saw this frame, it was missing something quite important.
Missing something?
Yes, a pale bluish stain on the inside of the frame. Atrocanine residue. What? Why wasn't I told about this? The frame is only 2 inches square. The face of the frame is even smaller, maybe an inch wide at most. You aren't saying. Oh, but I am. Tell me, what fits in such a small frame? A commemorative stamp, perhaps?
Oh, the poison stamp is in this frame?
Impossible.
Prosecutor Gavin?
Why would he put something like that on his desk? Don't tell me he had it there so he could commit suicide if the mood struck. Can I say something? I had a thought, see?
What, Mr. Bushman? Please stop chitching around like that.
The victim was a forger, right? There's a lot of money in that line of work. Forger's friends, makes enemies too, end quote. So the poison stamp might have been a murder weapon aimed at him? Oh, Rich, that's rich. Leave the ridiculous flights of fantasies that Gavinier sung lyrics, please. Finally, something we agree upon. The stamp was a murder weapon. Nonsense. Murder is a simple business. Who would go to such lengths? No one. Well, considering I got bored and played the very end just to see what was exactly up. Was the ending satisfying? Not exactly as satisfying as I would have wanted it to be, but it still had some catharsis to it, so I found it worthy to play the entire case rather than just skipping the chunks that I don't want to play. One part I'm looking forward to is the 7 years ago part. Oh, I disagree. Come again? Recall, if you would, the victim's reclusive lifestyle. Drew Misham hid from the world. He avoided meetings. His only contact with the outside world was the mail.
The mail?
Now, if you wanted to kill someone you couldn't meet but you knew, red letters, a stamp would be the perfect weapon. Ridiculous. Where's your proof? I want proof. Show us evidence that this poison stamp was sent to him as a murder weapon. I might not have evidence per se, but things are finally starting to come together. Well, what is it, Apollo? Your fists are trembling. I think I know what happened. I don't believe it, but I can see it. I think I know how Mr. Misham was killed.
Well, fill us in, Mr. Justice.
A certain piece of evidence points to the truth, Your Honor. I can show you how someone with the intent to kill son Mr. Misham.
Isn't this the envelope, the one from 7 years ago?
Think about the text of the letter again. There were 2 pages in the envelope. This is page 1. And this is page 2. Very nice handwriting, by the way. I want to draw your attention to one phrase in particular. Send in the enclosed envelope with the enclosed stamp within 3 days. The enclosed stamp, Your Honor.
Oh!
In other words, if I had this trait, the stamp, poison on the stamp, lick, lick, gasp, end quote. Now, what if he had done exactly as the letters asked? He would sign the document, put it in the envelope, and put the stamp on, right? Then he would put it in his letterbox. 15 minutes wouldn't have elapsed between affixing the stamp and mailing the letter. But the clock started ticking, and when the time came, he drew his last breath, and the murder weapon would be taken away from the scene.
Quite conveniently, thanks to the postal system.
Such a splendid imagination you have for a forehead. Let me confirm one thing with you, if I might. So this poison stamp was inside this envelope from 7 years ago, yeah? Is that what you'd have us believe? Really? Well, it's a little bit of a stretch, but there's a possibility. Yes, a very small possibility. How small, I wonder? A poison stamp in this envelope? A stamp that then became the murder weapon? How do you intend to prove this seeming coincidence? Well... And your answer is silence. I see very well. I move to... What? Oh! Oh! Okay, so we're having hallucinations now. Nice. It's not nice to pick on the Fraulein Clavier. Emma. Well? Like my Christoph Gavin impression? Does I sound just like him? Don't quit your day job. Don't you have a crime scene to be looking after, Fraulein Detective? Someone had to come dig you out of the mess you're making of this case. Mess? You know, none of this would have happened if you just trusted his science a little more. You can find out if that stamp was in the envelope easy. Care to explain yourself, Fraulein Detective? Glare me all you want, but science is on my side. It's all the residue, right? That's right, the poison detection spray.
Produce the Reverend Rupert once. You can open it on the authority of the court.
Holy shit. No mistaking it. That's actually quinine residue.
I don't believe it. A murder weapon from the past, now 7 years later it bears its fangs at last.
Objection!
Absolutely outrageous, tell me why. Why didn't this murder take place 7 years ago? Well, there's one possibility. Maybe Mr. Mishman figured it out.
Figured what out?
He realized that the person who sent him this letter wanted him dead. So he sent his reply with a different stamp.
And put this decisive evidence in a frame? You're still here?
Can I make a statement here on the record? I, Spark Razor Toothbrush, will claim the scoop as mine. Okay, and a 7-year-old later. No, maybe something more second. Star falls after 7 years delay. Angled.
I see no room for further argument here. Though I admit this is all coming as quite a shock. To think that the murder weapon reached his mouth after 7 years. Oh god damn it. Stamp his ticket straight to afterlife, end quote.
Uh-oh, I think Lewis is a bad influence on our judge.
I see no need for further debate on this matter. The sender of that letter 7 years ago could hardly have been our defendant.
Apollo, I think we just won. Oh, sorry, wrong guy. I think we just won.
Very old court finds the defendant.
Is this the bright future of our legal system?
Prosecutor Gavin?
A ticket to the afterlife from 7 years ago? Tickets for Cavaliers shows are invalid after 2 weeks.
But it doesn't make sense any other way.
It baffles my mind that so many people haven't noticed this. There's a fatal contradiction in her forehead's claim. Na 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 contradiction. The poison stamp was placed in this envelope 7 years ago, whereupon it was framed until now. If that's the case, then why would your mission have done what he did? Emma explained that. He must have realized it was poisoned. Therein lies the rub. 7 years ago, the forger drew Mission sensed a trap and put the stamp in a frame. I don't debate this, but this begs the question. Why 7 years later did he use that stamp on the night of the murder? Surely you don't mean to suggest that Mr. Mission simply forgot. He put the murder weapon in a frame on his desk for 7 years and forgot? You expect us to believe he sprang the trap on himself? Yeah.
While I admit this is quite shocking myself, it does seem highly unlikely that he would fall afoul of a trap that he had been sitting on his desk for 7 years.
Apollo, I don't... I don't think we're winning anymore. I'm glad to see we're all back in the real world now. Welcome back to reality. We've been waiting for you.
Objection!
Okay, then how do you explain the poison stamp that was in this envelope? The poison stamp? What exactly is that poison stamp again? Have you brought it to court for us? I see no proof that such a thing ever existed. What about the atrocanine residue, huh? Oh, I agree, that does seem to be atrocanine residue, but her forehead... It's certainly no stamp. Yeah, but... Even if your precious poison stamp did exist, Drew Misham never would have used it. That is all.
I believe we come to a conclusion. Again.
Apollo, we're wrong the whole time? I can't believe it. The poison traces match up. This can't be a coincidence. Fucking hell. The poison traces match up. It can't be a coincidence.
I'd like to bring some closure to this issue sometime this year. Mr. Justice,
Yes, Your Honor.
let's review the facts and see where we stand. Seven years ago, Drew Mission received a red envelope. There were traces of the atrocinine poison on the document inside that envelope. A similar trace was also found at the crime scene on this tiny picture frame. The defense has indicated the possibility of a yellow envelope, an envelope that left the scene of the crime with the poison stamp on it.
Yes, but even if this envelope contains a poison stamp, and Drew Mission, knowing this, put it in the frame, he never would have used that stamp.
I'm afraid you're right, which means there's a fatal flaw in the defense's case.
I haven't been on the wrong side of the track. Not the wrong track this whole time, I'm sure of it. The traces of atrocinine, the envelope, the frame, and Drew Mission's mysterious death, they're all connected somehow.
Well, Mr. Justice, do you have a conclusion for us?
The defense stands by its case, Your Honor. We've seen that the logical outcome of the evidence makes no sense, which means that one of our clues might be a fake. Fake clue? Fascinating. And if we find this fake, your wild fantasies will prove quite reasonable, yeah? Sorry, I just really love this track. The fake clue that's thrown us off the poison's trail is none other than... Well... Nah, fuck it, why not? I might as well run up all these save slots. I mean, I have... 10. True mission!
The victim was a fake clue? I'm afraid I don't understand.
I'll explain. We have an envelope, a frame, and a mug linked by poison. That all makes sense. What doesn't make sense is the victim himself. Congratulations, you've completely lost me. So the fake evidence is none other than the master of the fake himself, the forger. Makes a good story, I'll give you that. The fake clue, fakes, forgeries. Ah, I know that face. I just had an idea face. I don't know if I'm right, but I'm going with it anyway. What if our forger is the fake? Come again? 7 years ago, our forger sniffed a trap and stepped aside. 7 years passed. Now the forger stumbles into that very same trap and dies. Why?
That's what I want to know.
Because the forger who was killed was a fake. Here we are again. The victim was a fake? One forger smelled the trap, one forger fell into the trap. That's two forgers, and one of them was a fake.
Order.
So you're telling us that Drew Mission, the victim, was a fake? Well, if he was a fake, who was the real forger? You'd better not be claiming there was some kind of switcheroo.
I'm afraid you're going to have to back up your story. Mr. Justice, show us just who the real Drew Mission was.
Drew Mission wasn't the real forger. There's only one other person it could have been. Understood, Your Honor. Forger Drew Mission was himself a forgery. The real forger was... There can only be one explanation, really. The real identity of the forger known as Drew Mission was none other than his only daughter, Vera Mission.
Order! Mr. Justice, this is going out on a limb even for you!
I kinda agree. I mean, Vera a forger? Let's consider it before you write it off entirely. If you look at the paintings in the studio, one fact becomes quite clear. Forgery had been taking place in that studio for quite some time. The forger wasn't caught in that trap 7 years ago. This can only mean that the one who was caught in the trap wasn't the forger.
Well, actually that does kind of make sense.
One more thing. Only 2 sets of fingerprints were found in the forger's studio, Drew Misham's and Vera Misham's. If we know that Drew Misham wasn't the forger, that leaves only one possibility by process of elimination. The forger was Vera Misham. Well... Fascinating. That's it. Hi, Vera.
Vera Mission? You've been paying attention to the trial so far?
Let's just ask her and be done with it, shall we? Who are you? Who's the forger Drew Misham?
Oh.
Was that an expression of emotion I saw on her face? She's staring holes in Prosecutor Gavin's face. I'm used to being stared at by Frauleins, believe me. Though they usually talk to me too. Let's make another part.